think about the cliche, game of two halves. I think first half, going down 10-0 to come back, it shows good character. But I think it's maybe work rate which we can sort of, and that concentration which can definitely change. But I suppose looking at the positives, quite a few changes from last week, a lot of new debuts. We've got Will Garner, absolutely awesome carrying second half. We've got big Fitchies on second cap, Gouldy. So it's good to see the young lads coming through and sort of actually showing what they can do. Fingers crossed now we just sort of put together an 80 minutes rather than having these little glimpses which we keep seeing sort of week in, week out at the moment. I think Miles was solid today. I think that's both in attack and defence, but again always got goes up, makes those shots, particularly on the bigger lads. So it's good to see the collision sometimes so I can hide behind. But I think Dan Barber, another one, good shots going in. As a collective, I think line speed, maybe we can look at sort of something people do in the week is maybe get a bit more line speed, put a bit of pressure on them, because I think when we did start going up, mistakes were made. We didn't have to make the tackles in the end. But from where we have been the last couple of weeks, it was good to see a few more sort of hitting sticks and actually finishing tackles this week against what is actually not a bad team and some big lads we're against.
What do you think the difference was between the start of both halves really and when you sort of put your foot back into the game?
Well, I think it was possession's probably the difference. First half we had it and we were able to use the ball, whereas when it comes to second half, when they came out pretty solid, we didn't have the ball. So I think as soon as when we had it, maybe get a little bit too excited, so we sort of didn't appreciate it much. So all the time the offloads come in, we weren't necessarily looking after it as much as we should have, or maybe looking at field position and actually executing things. It was a bit more sort of excitement in the second half, which then came to errors, which then gives them field position. So it's a bit of a sort of, I won't say downward spiral, but it can sort of fuel the momentum of the game. Well, I think it was probably the shift came maybe when we started looking at the blind side a little bit more. Soon as we get 2-on-1s with like Meth as well on the blind side, maybe didn't quite look the score sheet, but did well making those yards with the little 2-on-1s. And as soon as we start looking at that blind side a little bit more, I think defensively it starts to open up the holes elsewhere. So I think Backs did some good finishing lines. I think Jack was awesome in the midfield with the carry, same as Cracker's giving the hard yards, but also again credit to those forwards. As soon as it starts opening up, we get the holes. We've got Miles going through, there was Dan again, a few lines. I think even Big Fitchy at one point went through. It's that momentum I think which then changes, and that's sort of our real threat in attack. As soon as we get that front foot ball, we can then start being a bit more lethal with it. It's now just generating it, I think, more often than we are maybe.
No, brilliant. Well played, Charlie. Thanks
Perfect.
very much.
Cheers.